I wish to acknowledge the arrival of the Secretary of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of the Philippines, Her Excellency Maria Theresa P. Lazaro, and the Ambassador of Japan, His Excellency Endo Kazuya. Allow me to further acknowledge the presence of the Secretary of National Defense of the Republic of the Philippines, the Honorable Gilberto C. Teodoro Jr. Today, we witness the exchange of notes between the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Her Excellency Maria Theresa P. Lazaro, and the Ambassador of Japan, His Excellency Endo Kazuya, on the entry into force of the agreement between the Republic of the Philippines and Japan concerning the facilitation of reciprocal access and cooperation between the armed forces of the Philippines and the self-defense forces of Japan, otherwise known as the Philippines-Japan Reciprocal Access Agreement, or RAA. May we now request Secretary Lazaro and Ambassador Endo to exchange the diplomatic notes notifying the entry into force of the RAA. The RAA between the Philippines and Japan will facilitate mutually beneficial defense cooperation between the two countries by establishing a framework for the conduct of such cooperation and defining the status of visiting forces and its civilian component. Thank you, Secretary Lazaro and Ambassador Endo. We request the Secretary and the Ambassador to stay for a series of group photos. May we request the Honorable Secretary Teodoro to join Secretary Lazaro and Ambassador Endo for a photo. May we request our three esteemed officials to stay, and may we ask members of the Philippine negotiating panel and our principals to join the photo opportunity. Undersecretary Maria Helen P. de la Vega, Assistant Secretary Evangeline T. Ong Jimenez Ducro, Spokesperson Angelica C. Escalona, Officer in Charge Paulo V. Saret, Special Assistant Princess Tomas Tayaw. From the Department of National Defense, may we invite Undersecretary Salvador Melchor Mison, Undersecretary Pablo Lorenzo, Undersecretary Gavin Edawan, Assistant Secretary Eric Lawrence D., and our colleague from the Department of Justice. So maybe request everyone to look at the cameras. May we also invite our colleagues from the Embassy of Japan, Ms. Tamura Maiko, Defense Attaché Aizawa Naoki, and Second Secretary Nakamura Ko.
Closer, please, everybody, closer. Everybody look here, look at my hand, please. Face mask in 3, 2, 1.
Thank you so much. So may we now request our guests to please take their seats. At this point, I would like to invite Ambassador Endo Kazuya to deliver his remarks.
Honorable Maria Theresa Lazaro, Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Gilberto Teodoro, Secretary of National Defense, Undersecretary Helen de la Vega, Department of Foreign Affairs, Undersecretary Salvador Mison Jr., Department of National Defense, Undersecretary Pablo Lorenzo, Department of National Defense, Undersecretary Gavin Ejawan, Department of National Defense, and all the distinguished officials from the Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of National Defense, Department of Justice, and the Presidential Commission on Visiting Forces. Esteemed colleagues, friends, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. It is a great honor for me to be with you today as we mark a transformative step forward in Japan-Philippines relations through the exchange of notes regarding the Japan-Philippines Reciprocal Access Agreement, RAA. Following its approval by the Philippine Senate in December of last year, the RAA was approved by the Japanese Diet early June. We are pleased to announce that with the exchange of note verbals today, the RAA will officially enter into force on 11th September 2025. This swift and decisive progress speaks to the urgency and strategic value both our nations attach to our security and defense cooperation. Japan recognizes the Philippines as an indispensable partner, strategically positioned at the heart of the Indo-Pacific and united through our shared core values of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. Amid the challenging security environment, the RAA provides a practical framework for mutually beneficial defense cooperation by facilitating mutual visits of our forces for joint training, humanitarian assistance, and disaster response. It strengthens the interoperability between our forces and affirms our mutual readiness to decisively respond to emerging challenges and opportunities. This agreement goes beyond being a bilateral milestone. It is a momentous contribution to the realization of a free and open Indo-Pacific in close cooperation with the Philippines, the United States, and other like-minded partners. To our distinguished partners gathered here today, I extend my deepest gratitude for your tireless efforts and commitment in supporting the full achievement of this agreement, which also showcases our shared resolve to contribute proactively to regional peace, security, and stability. As we look ahead, next year marks the 70th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations between Japan and the Philippines. Let us build on this momentum and continue working hand in hand, ensuring that the RAA and our broader cooperation leaves a lasting legacy where our nations stand stronger together and our region thrives in peace, prosperity, and unity. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay ang pagkakaibigan ng Japan at Pilipinas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Endo. May we now invite Secretary Teodoro to deliver his remarks.
His Excellency Ambassador Endo Kazuya, our distinguished colleague, the Honorable Secretary Tess Lazaro, senior officials of both the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Department of National Defense, and of the Embassy of Japan. Good afternoon. I have a prepared set of remarks that I will just insert into the proceedings for today. However, just a few thoughts. The RAA that comes into force in September is a logical step forward between the saga of relations between our two countries since we both won our respective independences. It is a function of strong people-to-people ties, shared values, and most especially a shared purpose. At the end of the day, what it means is that our most potent instrument of national power, which is our armed force, and that of Japan, can work together, but not for destabilizing the world order, but a shared purpose to preserve it against unilateral attempts to reshape the world order into the selfish benefit of parties to the exclusion of others. What the leadership of President Marcos and his Japanese counterparts, I think there were two before Prime Minister Ishiba, did is to provide a stepping stone, which allows us today and the future generations to work on, to contribute towards peace, security, and stability with an open security architecture, not only in the Asia-Pacific, but in the Indo-Pacific, and yes, to the rest of the world, because of the partnerships we will be entering into as a duo. It also provides deterrence for those actors who may not see things the way we do and who may not share our values. It provides resilience because not only will we be working with others, but we will be working with each other, close neighbors. And this resilience is not only in defense, but in defense industrial partnerships, in connectivity, in infrastructure, in technology, and in knowledge. I look forward to the conclusion, speedy conclusion, and I urge both sides to speedily conclude the component agreements that we need into making the RAA fully implementable. And I once again congratulate and this reaffirmation of the regard and the affinity that the people of the Philippines have for the people of Japan, particularly at this time. And we speak of this time as a challenging time. Who knows when our children or our children's children's times come? Will it be better? We hope. Can we rely on that? No. We have to empower them with as much partnerships as possible in order for them to enable themselves to work with their partners and build a better future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Secretary Teodoro. May we now invite Secretary Lazaro to deliver her toast remarks.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Endo, Kazuya, Secretary of National Defense, thank you for that excellent speech. Gilberto Teodoro Jr., colleagues in the Philippine government, officials of the Embassy of Japan, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my pleasure to have everyone join us in this occasion of great importance to the strengthened strategic partnership of the Philippines and Japan, the exchange of notes on the entry into force of the Reciprocal Access Agreement, or RAA, between the Philippines and Japan. A month ago, at the sidelines of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting in Kuala Lumpur, I had the opportunity to meet with my Japanese counterpart, Foreign Minister Iwaya Takeshi. As the Philippines has ratified the RAA last December, while Japan completed its own ratification process 2 months ago, Foreign Minister Iwaya and I agreed on the next step, the early entry into force of the RAA. That brings us to today's event. 30 days from now, pursuant to paragraph 2 of Article 29, the RAA will enter into force. Not only will it be an important step in our concerted efforts to enhance our 69 years of bilateral relations, it will also signify Japan's clear commitment to the Philippines' efforts to advance our defense capabilities in support of the Philippines' firm assertion of its sovereignty and sovereign rights in today's fast-evolving regional security landscape. It goes to demonstrate consistently the value of our strengthened strategic partnership towards the stability of the Indo-Pacific. The RAA is a natural progression of the cooperation between the Philippines Armed Forces and the Japanese Self-Defense Forces, from active cooperation on humanitarian assistance and disaster response activities to other aspects of capability and capacity building. In his fourth State of the Nation address last July, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said, "In the face of new threats to our peace and sovereignty, we are now more resolute in our preparations, vigilance, and self-defense. And as the President has put it succinctly, our confidence is even greater because we have more allies who will stand with us in times of great need." I commend the Department of National Defense, led by the Honorable Secretary Teodoro, for successfully forging on an RAA with Japan, our strategic partner, our friend. I also commend the members of the Philippine negotiating team from the Department of National Defense, Department of Justice, and the DFA for their commitment and hard work to ensure an RAA that is mutually beneficial and regionally relevant. On this note, may I wish to invite Your Excellency, Ambassador Endo, Secretary Teodoro, and everyone present here to join me in a toast, please, to the continued success of the strengthened strategic partnership of the Philippines and Japan. Cheers.